Welcome to Coach Bennett's podcast, where every run has a purpose, where kindness is hardcore, where this is about running, and this is not about running, where every starting line is a finish line in disguise, where rambling still gets you where you need to be, where pineapple will never ruin your pizza, and the sodas, adult and not adult kind, are always cold, and where there is room on the starting line for everybody. I'm Coach Bennett. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day. Let's get started. Welcome to episode 119 of Coach Bennett's podcast. This one is entitled Getting Ready for the Big Day. That's right. Are you ready for the big day? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. More importantly, we're going to figure out how to get ready for the big day, because that's what this entire podcast is about. Now, you can define the big day. I imagine most of us are going to be defining the big day as like a race day. And the race day could be a starting line that leads to a marathon or a 5K, or maybe your first big long run. It could be the first time you go to a group run. It could be something that has nothing to do with running, because let's be honest here, this is about running. And this is not about running. So the big day could be a presentation that you have to do at school or at work. It could be a big conversation that you're having. You can adjust the language here so it fits your story and your needs. That's what's so great about running. That's the way it works. Because every run can help you get better at more than just running if you let your running be about more than just running. So, should we get started? I think we should get started. This is a rhetorical question. Should we get started? So my first question from a coaching point of view, okay, when I'm talking to an athlete about race day is, are you ready? And now the athlete thinks I'm getting, deep into the details about the training. And I'm not. I just literally mean, like, are you ready? Like, do you have your stuff packed? Like, I'm talking about details. I'm talking about logistics, okay? So when I say, are you ready? What I really mean is a lot of the non-running stuff that will help you run better. And it will help you run better if you deal with this non-running stuff, because you'll have less stress around the build-up and race day, all right? So let's just break down some of the things I mean. Like, do you know what you're racing in? Like your kit. Do you know the jersey or, the shorts? Do you have the jog bra ready? Do you know what shoes you're going to be racing in? Have you been racing in those shoes? Have we been preparing by doing some of our long runs and maybe some of our workouts with those shoes? So this is what I mean. We're getting like into the weeds here. Is your watch or your phone charged? Your headphones, are those charged if you're able to run with headphones at race day? Do you know where you're going? Where you can park? Do you know you're going to eat the night before? There's a whole list of things. Now, it can seem like overwhelming, like, oh my goodness, I didn't think about all this. Listen, it's not overwhelming once you break it down. It can become overwhelming if you're not prepared to deal with all of these things. If you don't know where you're going on race day. If you don't know how long it's going to take to get to parking. If you're not sure where to eat the night before. If you can't find your charger and it's the morning of. Like, these are the things that, yes, can become overwhelming if they're all coming at you at the same time and you haven't thought about them. That's why some planning and preparation is going to diminish the amount of stress. There will always be stress around a big day. I guess I should maybe start with that. Okay, so don't try to have like a stress-free big day. I don't know if that's possible. And there is positive stress and there's negative stress. So you want some of these stressors in your life. You want some of that excitement, you want some of that adrenaline coursing through your veins. My point is, if we can limit the amount of negative stressors, then we're going to run better, right? And part of this, from like a coaching point of view, honestly, you want the athlete to have a great experience before the starting line. You do. You want the athlete to be able to take some time to look around at where they've run themselves to be able to have a moment to soak it up and not be wondering like, oh my goodness, there's no sockets for me to charge my phone, and my phone's at 18%, and I need my just, you know what, your phone's at 97%. We charged it, remember? Oh my goodness, but where are we looked up where the bathrooms are. We're going to find the bathrooms. You've got time. We got here early enough because we planned ahead. Oh, well, what about your kit's in your bag? Okay, and it's the same kit you've been wearing on your last couple of long runs. You're good, all right? No, we already know that it was going to be sunny, which is why you have a hat or sunglasses. We're ready. We know where we can warm up. Like, we know where we're going to meet after the race. Yes, we are ready. Now, we haven't even talked about your fitness level, the race plan, none of that. What we're doing is we're breaking down the logistics. Are you ready? And you can do this for anything. Where's the exam? Well, it's not in the normal classroom. Okay, which classroom is it in? It's on the other side of the school. That's okay. Do you know where it is? Great. Okay, you're going to pass your locker on the way? No, I'm not. Okay, so we're going to have our stuff with us because you're not going to have a chance to pass your locker on the way to the exam. Like, these are little things that really help. I mean, if you've ever sat in a classroom and suddenly you realize this exam needs number 2 pencils. I have 5 number 2 pencils. And you look to your left and Billy's sitting there sweating because Billy doesn't have number 2 pencils. All he has is one red pen, which makes no sense. I don't know why a student has a red pen, but that's what Billy's got, and he's freaking out. And you go, hey, do you need a pencil? And Billy's like, yes. And you give Billy a pencil because you're a good person, and why wouldn't you share one of your number 2 pencils with Billy? I mean, give me a break. So now Billy has a pencil. You can see the relief in Billy. His shoulders drop, his breathing starts to slow down, he starts to relax. But for the previous 10 minutes, Billy has been stressing, and that's going to have an impact on him. It's going to have an impact on his performance. So the point isn't how do you get rid of all of that stress? Because when you go into an exam, there's going to be a level of stress associated with it, of tension, of some anxiety. It's how do you diminish some of that stuff, right? I mean, I don't think the goal should be, how do I get rid of all of it? Because if you have a little bit of it, suddenly you're thinking, oh my goodness, I can't get rid of all of this anxiety. And now you're anxious about not being able to get rid of all of your anxiety. Just how can we do a better job dealing with it? And by dealing with some of these things, we can diminish the negative impact of these things. And in running terms, that saving of energy, that efficiency we have with this stress, we're going to be able to take advantage of during the run. Because this energy that we didn't use before the starting line, we can use between the starting line and the finish line if and when we need it, okay? So simply asking yourself, am I ready? And letting that mean more than what happens between the starting line and finish line, and let it be inclusive of what happens before the finish line, is going to give you a list of things to do so you can have a better pre-race, okay? Which is important. So think about, are you ready, right? And let it go beyond just the running. All right, the next thing I would probably ask is, what's the goal again? Like, what are we trying to do here? Now, normally, this is where an athlete's going to, like, almost immediately tell me a time or a place. And I will say, okay, let's remove the numbers. So, number 1, no numbers, which seems kind of counterintuitive. But the point is, number 1 rule, no numbers. What's the goal? What are we trying to do here? Now we're going to get to some real meat and potatoes. All right, we're going to get to, I want to run tough. I want to not give up. I want to run smart. I want to put myself in a position to achieve my goals. I want to be proud of the way that I react to the hard parts of the race. I want to be able to run comfortably more. I want to not push when I shouldn't push. Some of it's strategy, some of it's tactics. Some of it is how we're going to deal with our emotions, how we're going to be a more mindful runner, how we're going to have a better mindset. Like, these are the things I want to hear about. Because guess what? I've been to enough races where the weather dictated the time more than our fitness. And, runners who are going in with a primary or only a goal wrapped around a time finish their best race they've ever had, and they're disappointed because they've given all the power to the clock when the clock gave up its power to the weather. And I have to sit there and explain to the athlete, like, you just ran the best race you've ever run, and they're disappointed. So don't lead with numbers, okay? Lead with other things, because there are a lot of different versions of your best race. And the fastest time for a specific distance is only one version. It may not even be your best version of your best performance. So let's not start with that. Let's start with things that don't involve numbers. Go through this exercise all season long. And it's not just about race day. It's not just about the biggest day. It can be about every day. What is the goal of this practice? Get rid of the numbers. Okay, now we can start the practice. And I'll tell you what, you'll have a better chance achieving all of your goals, inclusive of those numbers, if you go into this knowing what your goals are that don't include those numbers. So if we do have a day where, hey, the weather's perfect, and you achieve all of those non-numerical goals, I ran tough, I was a great teammate to myself, the strategy was on point, tactics were brilliant, I was proud of the way I carried myself. This is all the ingredients to a great race. And sometimes a great race involves a great time. Sometimes it doesn't. But if you want your best opportunity to have a great time, the best way to do that is to have a great race. And the best way to have a great race is to do all of the things that don't involve a time as best as you possibly can. So start with that. What's the goal again? No numbers. Then we can talk about time. Then we can talk about place. All right? Now, the next thing I would say, if you really want to get ready for the big day, is to look back. Now, as a running coach, I rarely get to tell athletes to look back. Well, for a couple of reasons. One, it slows you down. And two, it's dangerous. And I usually tell people this, when I'm talking about like birthdays, because I love birthdays. I usually say like one of the exercises you should do on a birthday is to look back at the last year. Well, it's the same thing before a big day or a big race or a big moment or a big presentation. Let's take some time to look back. Let's look back, not at what we didn't do, because you can't see that, right? That doesn't show up. But that's one of the first things an athlete will do. They'll say, well, I missed this stretch of training here. I got sick here. I twisted my ankle here and I didn't do this. There was that one long run I didn't do. Enough. None of what you didn't do is going to help you do what you want to do. The only things that can help you achieve what you want to do is what you've done. So let's focus on what you did do. That may not be proper English, but whatever. Just ride the wave I'm on because it's a good one, all right? We're like in a barrel right now. I can feel the flow. So focus on what you did do. That's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on the work we put in because that's the only stuff we can take out of the account. What we did do. Do not fall in the trap that so many athletes fall into where they start looking at nothing. That's what they do. Look at these days I missed. Look at these workouts I missed. I don't see how that helps what we're trying to do. It doesn't. What we need to look at are our inputs. That's going to lead to our outputs, okay? You don't input zero. You can only input something, all right? Which means something on the other side of zero. Zero's just a freaking placeholder, baby, okay? And anytime you do something, you move away from zero. So what I want you to do is focus on what you did do. That's what we're looking back at. And that's what's going to bring us confidence. Because what is confidence? Confidence is the acknowledgement of our achievements and accomplishments. That's what confidence is, right? That's where it comes from. Us acknowledging what we've done. What we did do. So let's look back. That's what's going to inform us and inspire us when we set our goals. What we did do. That's what's going to let us know what is potentially our next accomplishment and achievement. That's what we need to do. So look back at what you did do, not what you didn't do. That brings nothing to the starting line. Remember that. What you didn't do doesn't bring anything with you to the starting line. And you want to bring with you all that you've done. That's who you are. That's the athlete I'm coaching. That's the athlete that's going to do something great on the other side of the starting line. All right? And then the other thing that we have to talk about is, are you nervous? And if you're nervous, that's okay. Being nervous means you care. I personally love talking to athletes that are nervous. To me, it is confirmation that what we're doing, more importantly, what you're doing has been meaningful, impactful. It means you're passionate about it. This matters to you. If it didn't matter to you, you wouldn't be nervous. You wouldn't be. You wouldn't care. But being nervous means you care. That's the type of athlete that is going to give their best on the other side of a starting line. That's the type of an athlete that is going to focus during a test. That is the type of athlete that has the greatest potential to be a great teammate and a great friend and a great coach to themselves. If you don't care, that is the quickest path to giving up. It is. It just doesn't matter. Who cares? And I'll tell you what, if you're in a team sport, what you want are teammates that, they're a little nervous. Now, here's the thing. What you want to do is acknowledge and appreciate, similar to confidence, the fact that you're nervous. It should make you feel good that you're doing something that matters. I'll tell you what, if you want a great reminder of why you are a vital and living being, being nervous is one of those things. You get to check in with yourself and say, wow, am I living a life fully lived? Well, the answer is probably yeah, if you're nervous, because it means you're doing something that matters, right? That is vital to you. That's wonderful. That's one of the things I miss most about racing a lot is getting nervous a lot. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Kind of constantly putting myself in a position where I might fail. That's exciting. Putting myself in a position where I don't know what's going to happen on the other side of the starting line. Questioning whether I can do what I believe I can do. Putting myself in a position to try and be the best I can be. Remember, first and foremost, without those numbers involved. That's amazing. And when you get away from sports, it's rare that you're in these situations, which is why so many people look back fondly at their youth around sports. Granted, I know some people, sports was ruined for them by coaches or parents or teammates, but the good part of sport, the best part of sport, which is where you're learning about yourself, where you're getting to a point where you're pushing the boundaries of who you are to become who you can be. That's the beautiful part of sport. And for the people who were lucky enough to experience that, when they get older and they get away from sports being a vital part of their life, that's what they miss. If you really ask them, that's what they miss. That and they miss their teammates. Or if they were lucky to have a great coach, they miss that great coaching, that person who could be challenging, and they would be accepting of that challenge, because you're not always accepting of the people that challenge you in your life. That was one of the benefits of being a coach, was I knew in this environment, a sporting environment, I can be critical of an athlete. Now, again, not critical to beat down, critical to build up. So we're just going to do a little sidebar here for all of you coaches out there, because everyone is a coach. If you have a body, you're an athlete. If you have a heart, you're a coach. All right? So remember, the key is when you're being critical, which is okay to be critical as a coach to an athlete. Remember, the point is that the athlete walks away with a path to betterment. They know how to become better. That is one of the reasons why athletes show up at practice. They want to improve. So when you see an athlete do something, you want to make sure you're giving them what they need to walk away and say, oh, okay, I'm better for having made that mistake, or I'm better for where I am today, because where I am today has now given me a new starting line to get to tomorrow as a better version of myself. So you're being critical not to beat down. You're being critical to build up. So an athlete, every time you're critical with them, should know how to improve. They should believe they can improve. If you're a coach and you're critical to an athlete and they walk away despondent, you messed up. You did. There should always be an answer to whatever the problem is when you're being critical with an athlete. I went off completely on a ramble. I think I was talking about how being nervous is great. Oh, yeah. And if you really loved being a part of sport when you were younger and you're away from it now, one of the things that you miss is getting nervous, is being able to take on challenges and potentially fail. That's where a lot of the excitement comes from and those butterflies come from. It's the unknown. Is this going to work out? And sport should be a safe place to fail, right? And it should be also a place where you can succeed and celebrate that success, right? So that's what we miss, and that's why we come back to it. So if you are nervous, okay, it's one of the best parts about being an athlete, all right? All right, so now, next, the last thing, which really is part of that conversation about being nervous that I'll ask an athlete is basically like, what are you listening to these days? What are you watching these days? What are you reading these days? What are you loving to do with your free time? Right? Like when you're chilling out, what are you doing? Oh, you got a great book? What's the book? Oh, you are reading The Stand by Stephen King like I told you to read. Isn't it amazing? Where are you? Oh, you're on page 400. Well, it's like a 1,200-page book. Isn't it amazing? Oh, it's all you want to do when you get home and start reading it? Terrific. Well, guess what? Bring the book on the trip. I want you reading the book. What are you reading? Oh, you're reading that show that everyone's binge watching right now? How far into it are you? Oh, only episode 2? How many episodes are there? There's 12 episodes? Perfect. Download them. Bring them on the trip because I want you watching that. Oh, you just got into Lord of the Rings? Oh my gosh. Well, what you really need to do is watch them back to back to back to back. And you need to watch the extended director's version because Peter Jackson is just a stud. So, no, I know. It's like 12 hours long or something ridiculous. But, I want you doing something you enjoy. Something that has nothing to do with the race. It has nothing to do with the presentation. That has nothing to do with the exam. I want you to just relax, recover. Because what I don't want you doing is overthinking the race, the exam, the presentation. And if I can get you doing something that you're loving to do, then that's going to allow you to just relax. Because here's the thing, as you get closer and closer to the big day, there's less and less you can do that's going to have an impact on your performance in a positive way. But there's a lot you can do to negatively impact your performance. So what I would like us to do is do the amount of running that we have to do, which is minimal the closer we get to race day, and I want you to recover more. I want you to stress less. And one way of doing that is just doing what you love to do or being around the people you love to be around. So you're not thinking about the race. You're thinking about Lord of the Rings. You're thinking about picking up the book and reading another chapter. You're thinking about binge watching another 2 episodes. And what you're not doing during that time is overthinking, stressing out, being anxious. So what are the things you just love to do? See, a lot of coaches do this wrong. They think like as we get closer and closer to the big day, every waking minute has to be spent thinking about the big day. Why? What do you think got you here? The last 3 days? No. It wasn't even the last 3 weeks. It was the last 3 months or 3 years that got you here. So we're the person we need to be, right? What we want to do is give that person the best opportunity to be who they are. So guess what? Let's wrap our arms around that person and make sure they feel safe and comfortable. Because if we can do that, they're going to have the best opportunity to be their best. Now, how can someone be their best? They have to be wholly them. WHOLLY. Wholly them. Not a lesser version of them. Wholly them. So, Let's give themselves the best opportunity to be their entire selves. And we do that by making sure they feel safe, they feel comfortable, they feel confident in who they are on the starting line. The more you start thinking about this race and that strategy and the weather, it's going to be what it's going to be. What you need to know is that the athlete that's coming to the starting line is bringing with them all that they've done, who they wholly are. That athlete is going to have to make adjustments, change strategy, do a different tactic. They're going to go through some hard stuff. They're going to struggle. They're going to have moments where they feel great. Mistakes will be made. Stumbles will happen. And you're going to have to figure it out as best as you can. That's it. You don't have to do any more than that. You don't have to do more than you're capable of doing. You know why? You can't do more than what you're capable of doing. That frees you to know that who you are is enough to accomplish what you should accomplish. Whew. Now take a breath. Put Lord of the Rings back on. Because we don't have to worry about the race. We are who we are, and that's enough. It always is. So open that book back up, put Lord of the Rings back on. What is it? The Summer I Turned Pretty, which I don't know, it seems like not everyone's loving this latest season. I don't watch it. I do kind of creep into the room, and occasionally I'll be like, what's going on? Why are they arguing again? Why are they talking? Why don't these people figure things out? And then, whoever's watching it, my family, needs to press pause. They tell me, they're so annoyed with me. They're like, why don't you just sit down and watch it? I'm like, because I'm not going to watch this show. And then I walk out, and it is kind of annoying now that I think about it. But the point is, just know that who you are is enough, all right? And who you are is ready for the big day. Or at least you're ready for the big day now, because that's the end of the show. Yeah, that's episode 119. So let me ask you something before you dart off real quick, before I say all this. You're like, all right, I got what I need. I'm out of here. Let me tell you what I need. I need you to leave reviews for the podcast. I need you to follow the podcast on whatever platform you're listening. And if you want to send some questions in to the mailbag, I think this fall we should start reading from that mailbag again. Yeah, baby. So there's the address, the P.O. boxes in the show notes and all that good stuff. But if you could follow the podcast, I would appreciate it. I say it every week. I hope you do it. If you're not already, I hope you now do it. And if you haven't left a review, please leave a review. It's actually kind of ridiculous how much the reviews help. So let's do that. All right, and by let's, I mean we, and by we, I really just mean you, because I can't review my own show. If I could, man, there'd be so many more reviews. It would be crazy, and I'd have all different, fake handle names. It would be amazing. But anyway, that's not possible. And that would be a lot of time and effort, and I just too lazy to, make up fake handle names and leave fake reviews. Anyway, all right, I'm getting out of here. You need to get out of here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this community. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I will meet you on that next starting line. Thank you so much for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast today. And if you haven't already subscribed or set yourself as a follower to the podcast, I really hope you would. And make sure you check out the show notes, because in those show notes, you're going to find a link to Coach Bennett's newsletter and all the social media sites I'm on, like Instagram and Threads and Cameo and Blue Sky and Nope, not on that one anymore. So all the ones I am on, you're going to find it in the show notes, so check that out as well. And as always, thank you again for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast. Until next time, you keep taking care of yourself and each other.